So those of us that are just joining us, I would like to welcome you once again to our Core Career Clinic. Welcome on board. We're very much glad to have you here. However, we would like to go through to the agenda for today, and I would like to give you a brief running about the agenda for today. So this is what we're covering today. The first topic of first presentation we're going to be having is about personal brand, building personal brand. And this presentation is going to be taken by our guest speaker. She's an award-winning author and software engineer, Ms. Chisom Nwoko. And then the second topic is going to be taken on employee branding. It further discusses about the importance of personal branding and how you market yourself effectively. This will be taken by our Chief People Officer and well-established HR, Ms. Nneka Ngene. Afterwards, we're going to go about the question and answer session, and then we'll move on to the vote of thanks. So I would like us to meet Chisom Nwoko. All right, so I'm going to briefly introduce Chisom Nwoko. Now, Chisom, fondly called a tech queen, she's currently a software engineer based in Lagos. She works with Microsoft's company and helps the company to achieve wide goal of becoming carbon negative by the year 2030. I want you to know that she graduated in the year 2021, August, from the University of Nigeria, and she has a BSc in computer science. Now she has released a book titled A Techie's Guide into Big Tech's Company. I would like every one of us to check out that book. And she is someone who has made tremendous progress in a short period of time. She was nominated a Rising Star of the Year by the Women Tech Network, and also she called Africa organization. Now, aside from engineering with other 50 speaking engagements, Chisom spends her time helping people to build early careers in tech and to land roles at top tech companies through speaking engagements. If Chisom is not engaged in technical activities, she loves doing three things, which are cooking, playing the violin, and helping people to build themselves better. Now, I want us to welcome Chisom Nwoko. Let's give her a round of applause at the comment section. Chisom, welcome on board. We're glad to have you today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'll just go over it again. Hi, everybody. My name is Chisom. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. I'm also an author as well. And I create content on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So yeah, this is me, and I'm super happy to be here, super excited to be on this call. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, something that I find really, really amazing, which is building a personal brand. And we're going to be looking at ways you can build a brand by yourself. So if you're on this call and you've been wanting to build a personal brand for yourself, or if you're in the journey of building a brand for yourself, this presentation is going to help you either to fast track that process or to just know how to get started. So I want it to be very interactive as I speak. Try to drop comments on the comment section so we could review the questions after I'm done presenting. So today's agenda is very, very enlightening. We'll be talking about what a personal brand is. Do you actually need a personal brand? Because people talk about personal brands a lot. Is it actually needed? How to develop your personal brand and the elements your brand should have for someone to target as an effective personal brand. Lastly, we'll be talking about how to market yourself with your personal brand. So I usually like starting all my presentations with a quote. This quote is by Jeff Bezos, and he said, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." And I really relate to that, because when people know you for a particular thing, they either tend to recommend you for something or just speak about you to other people when you're not there. That's what your brand does for you. So your brand is something people would always say about you when you're not physically present in that room. So what is a personal brand, right? This description is something that's very high level, but it still explains exactly what a personal brand is. Your personal brand is who you are, what you stand for, the values you embrace, and the way in which you express those values. And the good thing about this presentation is that I'm going to be giving personal stories as I move forward. So if you want to know somebody, or if you want to know what somebody stands for, and if you want to know what the kind of values an individual embraces, you know that, okay, that is the person's personal brand, in quotes. I know a couple of people that have personal brands, especially on Instagram, some people on Twitter as well, and even LinkedIn. I mean, those social media platforms. If they mention the person's name, I will automatically know that this is the topic, or this is what the person built his or her personal brand around. I would mention a few. Confidence is a cybersecurity expert. Each time I hear Confidence name, I know that, okay, it's definitely going to be about cybersecurity. Some other people are affiliated with entertainment, and if I hear their name, I know that, okay, either this person is around the entertainment industry, or is around like the YouTube industry, or even around the tech industry. So your personal brand is who you are, what you stand for, and the values that you embrace, and the way you express those values. So moving forward, I'll take you guys through a short journey on how my personal brand, or how my brand evolved over the years. In 2016 to 2019, my brand was just basically me being a student at University of Nigeria. So that was what I built my brand around. And I was so intentional about building a brand for myself, because I want my name to be mentioned in rooms, and I want the right tags to be given, because trust me, if you don't tag yourself, someone else is going to give you a tag, right? So 2016 to 2019, I was known as a student of computer science from my first year to my third year. Moving over to 2019, 2020, people saw me as an Android developer, right? I started developing Android applications. That was the year I got into tech as well. So my classmates didn't see me as a regular student anymore. They saw me as a student who is also an Android developer, but someone that does not have experience. So this was good. I mean, the progress I was making was visible. And it was through that personal brand that I built as an Android developer with no experience that got me my referral to Microsoft, right? So I was always on LinkedIn. I was always tagging myself as an Android developer. I would write articles on Android development. People will engage with them. Sometimes people won't. And somebody reached out to me one day on LinkedIn, and she told me, "Hi, Chisom, I've been seeing you posting about Android development topics. You're still a student, but I would love to refer you for a software engineering role." And so that was what that brand got me at that particular point in time. I got a referral from LinkedIn as an Android developer that had no experience at all. That was how I was showcasing myself to people on LinkedIn and on social media as well. So moving over to 2020 to 2021, I was a graduate that had, or I don't think I've even graduated at that time. That was in my final year. I was a final year student with 2 international tech roles. So I started being vocal about how I got these jobs on social media. I had my first international tech job from Bank of America and Microsoft as well. So that was how I showed myself to people online as a graduate from school who had 2 international tech roles. 2021, my brand started taking a little bit of form. It started having shape. I started my work as a software engineer at Microsoft. I also started public speaking as well. That's what people knew me for. People knew me as, oh, Chisom graduated from school with no experience. She got a job at Microsoft, and she's now a public speaker and also working as a software engineer as well. 2022 till date, I moved from being a software engineer. Other things I added to my portfolio were being an author, public speaker as well, and also a YouTuber. So this is how my brand journey evolved. Each year I was quite intentional about people knowing me the way I want them to know me, right? I'm someone that I don't really like being in a regular space. If you mention my name in rooms that I'm not present, I want you to attribute something to me, and something that's good, something that's unique, right? So in 2020, if someone calls me or calls my name in a room, I want them to see me as a graduate who was able to get some international roles without experience. And even that now, if someone calls me in a room that I'm not present in today, I want them to see me as somebody who has evolved in like building an early career in tech, someone who has also written a book, someone who's also a public speaker and a YouTuber as well. So this is to say that you can be intentional about building your personal brand. Like I said earlier, if you don't tag yourself, other people will tag something to you, which is not so nice, because you might be seen as something that you're not. So this is like a clear description of how my brand journey evolved, and it's still going to evolve. It's still going to change. It might still remain similar to what it is now, but it's definitely going to evolve to some things that are better. So yeah, do you actually need a personal brand? So many people talk about like building a personal brand. Back then, I wasn't so convinced that I actually need one. I mean, I could just be like a regular person, right? But when I figured out that's actually very important, something stood out for me. First is it builds trust and authority, and you become a trusted individual in that niche. I would set back to a time where I was talking with my publisher for my first book, and he was really attracted to my book. He read the book. It was lovely. And the first thing he told me was that, Chisom, do you know that you have built an authority around the topic that you've written on? And that stood out for me. He made me know that writing this book is not just about writing the book and selling it off and probably getting opportunities from the book. People are seeing you as an authority, because it's one thing to speak about a topic, but it's another thing to write about a topic like in several pages, right? So it builds trust and authority when you're in that particular field. If you're building a brand around tech, and you're building a brand around a particular field in tech, and you're always posting about these things, you're always posting about UI, UX, you're always posting about product design, people automatically see you as someone that has authority in that field, because before you post something publicly for people to see, it shows that you've done your work, you've done your research, and what you're posting is something that's authentic, right? So that's the first thing a personal brand does for you. Second thing is it builds your network. People are motivated to have you as a valuable network, and it helps you approach literally anyone for opportunities. And this is so true, because most of the events I've attended, most of the tech events I attended, when I'm introduced as a speaker or when I'm introduced as a panelist, people that I won't have access to on a normal day, I have access to them literally once I'm introduced or once I introduce myself. People that I won't even get the chance to speak to on a normal day, I can casually go to them and like start up a conversation and just feel free, right? So it builds your network. Either people are motivated to connect with you as a person, or you can walk up to someone and introduce yourself and the person feels comfortable talking to you. So when you have a personal brand for yourself, I would say, for instance, if someone like Oprah Winfrey comes up to like an event, for instance, you are motivated to speak with her, you're motivated to want to add her to your network. So it's something that's attractive when people see that your personal brand has been built, and it's very glaring that you make a valuable connection. They will automatically be attracted to you. They will automatically be attracted to who you are and what you do. So as you're building your network by getting those contacts, people can also build their network by meeting you and communicating with you. So it's like a ripple effect. You're building like a web of people that you'd want to know and people that want to know you as well. And three, if you're someone that's job hunting, if you're someone that's looking for a job, it attracts more employers. If you're searching for a new role, a personal brand speaks for you perfectly. I'll move back to the point where I said I was posting about Android development stuff on LinkedIn, and someone reached out to me from Microsoft and she said she would love to refer me. I don't know this person from anywhere. I've never met her before, but she was looking at what I was doing, meaning that without me even telling her who I am, my personal brand already spoke for me in that regard. So this is something that would help you as well if you're looking for a job. Put yourself out there. People say put yourself out there, and I'm like, it's cliche. I mean, people have been saying this for years, right? But it's actually the truth. If you put yourself out there, people know that you exist. People know that you do what you do. And at that time, it was even more important to me because I didn't really have experience. Like, I didn't have job experience. So if you're someone that's on this call and you don't have job experience, you're looking for your first role, building a personal brand is the first thing you should do, amongst other things that like are requirements for getting into tech or getting into any career field that you want to do. And also, if you want to like get like a senior role in another company, as much as your company might build a certain kind of brand for you, you also have to include your personal brand to make your persona more attractive. So, how do you develop your personal brand? We'll be looking at like a few points here. First is figure out who you are. Create a list of your personal strengths and weaknesses. Figure out what you love doing. Figure out what you like. I mean, because you're in tech doesn't mean that your personal brand must be tech related, right? I've seen a couple of people that build their personal brands around content creation, but it will surprise you to know that these people are working in tech. They're not building their personal brand around tech. They're building their personal brand around things that they love doing. So I came across someone on Instagram. He does this content creation stuff, videography and all that. I was so surprised when I found out that he was working as a senior engineer at Oracle. And there is nothing like that attached to his personal brand. If you don't look deeper, you won't even know he's working in tech. So he picked the things that are his strengths and he knew the things that were his weaknesses. So before you create a personal brand, if you're creating a personal brand for a job, that's fine. Your personal brand tends to be dynamic. You could change it a bit as you move forward, but try to always involve yourself in the things that you love doing so that it pushes you to do more. It pushes you to be more unique in that space. So it's best to figure out who you are. And another thing I'll point out is try not to copy anybody. You can shadow people, you can look up to people for inspiration, but try not to copy someone because you feel that, okay, this person is doing this and it's making waves. Let me just do the exact same thing. Just figure out who you are and be true to yourself. Second is determine what you want to be known for. Your personal brand is more than a reflection of who you are today. This is actually very powerful. Imagine yourself in a room and you're invincible and people call up your name, people are like, I saw Chisom on social media. Determine what you want people to attribute your name to or your personal brand to. If I'm called up in a room, I want people to see me as a woman in tech, a young woman in tech. I want people to see me as someone that's innovative, someone that's creative, and someone that's making waves like in the tech industry. That's the reflection of how I want people to see me. So if you determine what you want to be known for, look into the future and say, okay, if I build this brand now, what do I want people to see me as 5 years, 6 years from now? And that will like give you more direction to how you can like strategize and build your brand. Third is define your audience or your niche. Are you trying to reach industry leaders or you're trying to reach out to recruiters? So if you're building a personal brand, if you're job hunting, your target audience should be recruiters, right? You want to put yourself in a space where recruiters can find you or potential employers. Or if you're someone that has already gotten a job and you want to build like a personal brand in terms of like a career, probably you want to be a career woman or a career man or anything, you're reaching out to industry leaders, you're putting out content that's engaging, you're putting out content that is relating to these audience or your niche. I mean, there are so many other brands that you can build and there are so many other niches you can think of, but it's best you know that, okay, this is what I'm trying to reach, and these are the people I'm trying to appeal to. So if you're looking for a job, you're posting content of how competent you are, you're posting content about how experienced you are or the skills that you know. Or if you're building content around being an industry leader or you're reaching out to industry leaders, there's a particular direction that your content will go. So it's better that you define your niche on time so you don't end up posting things or speaking about things that is totally farther away from what you want people to perceive you as. So fourth is prepare an elevator pitch. Spend some time crafting out an elevator pitch. It could be a 30 to 60-second story about who you are. So this is something that's very funny, right? Because I remember when I was always doing interviews, my mom asked me why I'm spending a lot of time creating a pitch. And it was something that was important to me because I would write down everything I want to tell my interviewer about myself. And I would do like a practice. I would give like voice notes to make sure that it's not past 1 minute, because I mean, if it's past 1 minute, then you're going to bore the person out, right? So I would take my time to actually understand what I want this person to know about me, my experience, my hobbies, what I love doing, and the things I can like give value, the things I can like do to give value to their company. So prepare an elevator pitch. When someone says, tell me about yourself, it's not a time like to start babbling and you're like, my name is Chisom. I'm from Anambra State. I'm 22 years old. That's not the answer to that question. So it's meant to be engaging. It's meant to be enlightening. At the end of that 60 seconds, the person is meant to know at least 50% of who you are. And that's how good your elevator pitch should be, because it either attracts people to you or it repels people away from you, depending on how you present yourself. So preparing an elevator pitch is something that's very important when you're building a brand. Lastly, I think this is the last point. Grow an online audience. Embrace networking and set up a social media footprint. There's something on Google called SEO marketing. I'm sure people on this call should know about that. When I type your name, I'm meant to see exactly who you are and what you do. That's how good your personal brand should be. I remember there was a time this chat box, not ChatGPT, some other chat box came out and people were typing in their names to see what this chat box says about them. And I saw a girl that typed in her name, and the chat box was referring to her as a male person instead. And I mean, she was a girl, but he was using like he pronoun, meaning that she hasn't built her personal brand perfectly online and on the internet space. So try to put out content around there, try to write articles so the internet gets used to who you are and it knows how to set out information about yourself. So if you want to know how good your personal brand is, take some time today to type your name on Google and see what comes up. So it's actually best to build a social media footprint so that people can find you, people can know who you are. It might be LinkedIn, it might be Twitter, it might be Instagram, it might be YouTube. I mean, just be very known on at least one of those social media accounts and be known for exactly what your personal brand is all about. Also embrace networking, reach out to people, chat with people, engage with people online, and don't be too scared to build your network, because it's very important as well. So lastly, building a personal portfolio. It doesn't have to be anything big. I want a website where I can go to see things about you, what you do, your hobbies, the people that you know. I mean, stuff like that. A platform where I can find out things about you in one place, right? So building a personal portfolio is very, very important. With the way tech has evolved, I don't think you need to pay somebody to build a personal portfolio for you. There are so many other platforms that can help you build these things for free. You can just pick a template. There's WordPress, there's Canva, there's Wix. I mean, a couple of them that you can just set up to make sure that your portfolio and your website as well, your website name, your domain name is stable and you've paid for it. So it's very, very important. So elements of an effective personal brand. Let's say you built a personal brand already and you're trying to checkmate if it's actually effective. First is being authentic. Don't copy anybody's content. Don't try to copy anybody's personality. There can only be one you in the whole world. You can't be like, so you can never be like someone else. So try to be authentic with the things that you put out and try to be your best self. 2 is make sure you're giving out value. I won't want to be friends with you, or I won't want to build a network around you if you don't have value. If I'm not getting anything from you, I don't think I should be intentional about making you my network or making you part of my network. So make sure you're always giving out value, no matter how small. I'm not saying that you should be a TEDx speaker or you should write a book or anything. No matter how small, try to give out value. 3, trustworthiness. Let people trust you through your brand. Also, merging it with integrity as well. Be true to yourself. Don't post about things or talk about things that will tarnish your brand image. I mean, everybody on this call is on social media. We've seen a couple of people that have said some very weird things and people are like bashing who they are. So you wouldn't want to do that. If you want to say something that you know will be detrimental to your brand, say it to your like close friends or just keep it to yourself. So trustworthiness is good, and also being someone of integrity. Let people trust you. Let people see you as someone that's trustworthy. It speaks a lot. Trust me, it speaks a lot about your brand. I've had that experience before. So these 3 things are things that you can use. These 4 things are things that you can use to checkmate if you're building or if you've built an effective personal brand. So yeah, how to market yourself effectively. Be confident. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an extrovert, but people usually say I talk like an extrovert, but I'm actually an introvert. But if there's any space I am called to speak, I try to be very, very confident. Being confident is very attractive. And if you're building a brand around confidence, people will be attracted to you. The way you talk, the way you express yourself, the way you hold conversations, let your confidence be oozing. Like, let people see that you know what you're doing and that you're very, very confident about what you're saying. Second is always offer value by staying relevant and being informed. You can do this by reading books. I watch a lot of talks on online, mostly TEDx talks or podcasts. I try to season my knowledge with several things from different angles, different fields of life, not just tech. So try to stay relevant. If you're in a financial space and you're in the tech space and you're trying to have a conversation with someone, if you're relevant and informed, you can flow with that person. You can bring up topics to discuss about. That's how you offer value, by feeding yourself with things that are positive and things that are of value. 3 is look out for speaking engagements, volunteering opportunities. So many people reach out to me and they're like, oh, Chisom, how do I get myself more visible to start speaking? Don't put yourself in a box, put yourself out there, let people know that you're an authority in a particular field. And trust me, they'll reach out to you for speaking engagements. And if you don't find speaking engagements, try to volunteer at events and just try to network your way around. This thing doesn't really have a one-road direction. You can do it in so many ways. And 4, seek recognition for your expertise. Reach out to people online, tell them that this is what you know. There's nothing as attractive as shooting your shots positively, right? Reach out to people, tell them that you know this, tell them that you've gotten certified in so and so skill, tell them that you have the recognition that they need for their brand or for your own brand, and try to seek recognition for your expertise. And trust me, people are definitely going to listen to you. Quick notes. Individuals rebrand for the same reasons companies do. They proactively rebrand to set themselves up for a more future-facing path. So if you're scared that, if I build my brand around tech, am I sure it would work? You can definitely rebrand. But the most important thing is let people know you first. Let people give you a tag first. Then you can definitely rebrand to any other thing you want to do. But the foundation is something that you should make very solid before you diversify into talking about other topics online and during your speaking engagements. Yeah, so I think I've come to the end of my talk, and I would be taking, I don't know if it's question time now, but yeah, come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chisom, for that wonderful presentation. We really enjoyed every bit of it. The highlights for me for this presentation was about building yourself, under personal brand, building yourself, knowing who you are, and then working on your strength, evolving yourself more, and then you would follow up with whatever tech is bringing your way. But for now, we'll not be taking questions. We're going to take the questions after the second presentation.
Okay,
so those of us that have questions for Chisom, please drop it at the chat room so that we can direct it to her after the presentation. Once again, Chisom, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Well, we would like to welcome those that are just joining us. Okay, you've not missed out on a lot of things. We've just taking the first part of our workshop, and we're about to go into the second part of our workshop. We'll also employ everyone to please stay to the end of this meeting, as we have a wonderful incentive for everybody. We're going to be reviewing 50 CVs after this meeting, and the email address will be attached. So please, guys, stay with us to the end of this meeting. Also, we want you to encourage your friends who are yet to join us for this workshop through our social media platforms, that they can join us and enjoy this workshop. Please reach out to your friends that are yet to join us. All right, moving on to the next speaker of the day. We have our speaker who is going to take us on employee branding in the person of Nneka Ngene, our very own CPO rather, Chief People Officer. She's the head of HR in our company of Verify Me Nigeria. She's the one that does everything or relates with everybody. She's very, very smart. She's very, very easy to work with. She handles everything people. So I would like us to meet Nneka, and I would like to give a brief introduction about her. Now, Nneka has established herself as a global talent acquisitionist. She's a strategic leader. She's a business strategist and a seasoned human resource personnel. She is highly accomplished and professional. She's a highly accomplished professional, rather, with a wealth of experience in the field of human resources. She has a degree, her master's degree in human resources management and development from the University of Lancaster. Now, Nneka has over 19 years of experience in human resource, and she has proven to give the ability to lead in diverse teams and drive success in organizations. Nneka is our Chief People Officer at Verify Me Nigeria, and she's here to revolutionize human resources at Verify Me Nigeria by developing and advocating for exceptional talent, collaborating with business leaders, and building a superb organization. So I want you to join me in welcoming Nneka Ngene. I want you to give her a round of applause at the chat room section. Thank you so much, Nneka, for joining us today. We are very pleased to have you. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ife. Thank you so much for the introduction. So I'll be talking about employee branding. And so employee branding, when you think about employee branding, what typically comes to mind? Most people confuse this with employer branding. They're two different things. So I'll be proceeding with my presentation now. So simply put, employee branding is a process of getting employees on board with the mission, vision, values of your organization. Think of employee branding as the external perception of your organization as created by employees and future hires. So for me, employee branding totally depends on employer branding. So you cannot have a negative employer brand and expect employees to drive employee branding. Employee branding also has to feel connected to the organization, that is to the employer brand, in order for them to promote employee branding. So employee branding is really critical to the success of a business, and I'll tell you why as I proceed with my presentation. Why does all this matter? The employee voice is 3 times more credible than the CEOs when it comes to talking about working conditions in that organization and its credibility. So in an instance where a CEO tries to promote the business, you would typically know that it is standard. He has to do it, and he will always promote it positively. But when it comes to employee branding, employees speak what they feel. So you have to ensure that your employees are happy. The employees see your organization, see the employer or the organization or the company as a great place to work. The employee also has to trust the organization in order for them to be motivated to promote the brand, which is the employee brand. Positive employer branding also helps to attract and retain quality employees, and I'll say why. As a HR professional, we scout for talents, and in an instance where we identify talents and proceed with the recruitment process, we tend this employee branding helps us in that the prospective hires can go and do their research on the organization and on employees in that organization. So employee branding, for instance, they could go on your LinkedIn profile to just review your profile and see what it is to work, how you feel about working in your organization, and it shows. Employee branding isn't only on social media or LinkedIn, it's also verbal interaction. It's also like when you go for networking events, employees can typically brand the organization by what they say about the organization in public, what they say about the organization to their friends, families, and former colleagues. Those sort of positive employee branding attracts talents. It also influences how the organization is perceived by potential hires. I've mentioned that. Also helps to attract better talents and boost the company results, and of course reduce turnover. It also influences customers or potential customers, because believe you me, customers do their research as well and go on profiles, LinkedIn profiles, ask around about what employees feel about their employer brand, or what they feel about working in that organization, because they want to be more trusted and excited to work in the organization. It also influences investors. So if you're looking for investors, you have to ensure that all your employees are promoting the brand appropriately on all networks, that they signed up to. So the objectives of employee branding: expansion of employee empowerment. It helps to also improve employees' loyalty, because when an employee feels comfortable and motivated to work in the organization and they feel empowered to promote the brand, then it also helps to drive their loyalty. Then it also drives improvement of the company's reputation in the market, because who else can sell your organization other than the people that work there? So it's critical that employee branding is supported by the employer. Then it also helps to increase in the motivation levels as well. So 5 tips to build effective employee branding strategies. 1, link your employee brand to your employer brand. So you have to link them up. You can't be working somewhere and you're promoting another organization or promoting something else. You're going to confuse people that follow you or people that listen to you. Then focus on your current employer. That's an error. Focus on your current employer. Then make use of social media. There's LinkedIn. You can utilize LinkedIn. There's so many other platforms. Then when you even go for events, talk about your organization. Be confident. Feel motivated. And I feel the employer has a major role, in ensuring this employee branding is a success. 1, the environment has to be conducive for employees to be able to promote your brand. They have to trust you. You have to be trustworthy. You have to have integrity. You have to have a good reputation. If an organization always goes to EFCC or is involved in scam, fraud, the employees will not want to be aligned with that brand. In fact, employees will exit the organization quickly. So the employer has to ensure that the environment is conducive enough. It's a great place to work before it encourages employees to align with the brand. Then we also have to remember to drive the company's culture when promoting the employee brand. Then we have to be consistent. You have to be consistent in what you post, what you talk about, about the organization, about your experience in the organization. So that is it for me. Very brief presentation. I think questions will be after this. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be here to answer all your questions.
Thank you so much, Ineka, for this wonderful presentation. It was very, very insightful. I believe the highlights for me were the tips that you gave in, building rather your employee branding. So that was very interesting and well prepared. We're going to take questions now. and we're going to start with Chisom's questions from Chisom, and then we'll move on to Nneka. So Chisom, we have a few questions documented here for you. The first question is, how long does it take to build a brand, and how do you know that you have, and how do you know what you have gotten or where you have gotten to when you built the brand?
So the question is timeline and how you know you're building an effective personal brand. I would say building a personal brand is progressive. It doesn't have a timeline, but it has like a peak point where you know that you've set the foundation right, and all you have to do is just to improve. You would know this when people start reaching out to you, or when people start trying to reach out to you for the value that you give online, or for the impression you're giving about yourself online. So that peak point for me was when someone reached out to me for a referral from Microsoft. Because at that time, when I post about things on LinkedIn, about the things that I do, the app that I built, and all those stuff, the articles that I was writing, people weren't engaging with those posts. People weren't liking, they weren't commenting, but I kept on doing it. That didn't stop me. So the peak point for me was when someone reached out and asked for her to refer me through those things that I was posting. So from there, I started getting more clarity on how to start improving my personal brand, because I was so convinced that I had built like a brand for myself. So yeah, that's like a peak point when people start reaching out to you, or when you start, you're giving so much value that people are like engaging and responding. So that should be the peak point. It doesn't really have a timeline. It's something that's progressive. It's just something that you keep on doing. But I can't say it has a timeline. You just have like peak points at each point of like your branding journey. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Chisom, for that. I hope your question has been answered. So we have a question for Nneka. Nneka, the first question we have is, how can one improve employee loyalty? What can you say about this?
How can one improve employee loyalty?
Yes, please.
So the organization just has to do the right things, make the environment conducive for the employees, make it a great place to work, have a good reputation out there, connect with employees, motivate employees, ensure that the employees trust you, just provide all that was promised during the recruitment process in the employment letter. So for instance, if you say salaries will be paid on the 25th, ensure that it is on the 25th, because that makes you credible. So you can't not pay on time and expect employees to be loyal. So it takes a lot. The employer has a lot to do to drive employee loyalty, because in an instance where it isn't, you find that employees exit the organization, you have this disgruntled employees, you have employees forming unions that can, of course, affect the growth of the organization. So the employer typically just needs to drive a lot of changes within the organization to ensure that they're credible, they have the right reputation, and employees, feel confident and feel motivated to promote the brand.
Thank you so much, Nneka, for that. We have another question for Chisom. So Chisom Efe as well, she's also asking that what platforms would you advise one to build their own personal brands?
Okay, so it depends on the direction you're going. If you're someone that's actively looking for a job, I would advise LinkedIn. If you're someone that's actively looking for a job, maybe you don't have experience or you're looking for like your next role, I would highly advise LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a huge platform that people are not really harnessing the benefits, right? So setting up a good LinkedIn profile is one step, and just posting frequently about valuable things that you're into or things that you're currently learning and all that stuff. Then if you're more of like a creative, if you're someone that loves putting your face out there, I would recommend Instagram. Twitter is a little bit of a mix. It's kind of like in the middle, but I would suggest LinkedIn and Twitter if you can. I've seen a couple of people that have gotten jobs from Twitter as well through the things that they post and referrals and engagements. So anyone that's more friendly to you or the one you're most comfortable with. But job-wise, I would always advise LinkedIn.
All right, Chisom, thank you very much. I hope that question has also been answered. Then I have a question for Nneka. Nneka, this question is from Umfong, and she wants you to share more tips, okay, on how to improve the company's reputation in the market space.
Okay, so in driving the organization's reputation, the organization just needs to ensure that they are compliant, that they are committed to service delivery, and also in driving employee satisfaction. They also have to ensure that they're credible, they have the right reputation in the markets, they're not attached to fraud, scam, they keep their word, so all that is what would help to drive the employer's reputation.
Thank you very much. So we have another question for Chisom. Okay, Chisom, the question is, can you give advice to a tech newbie who is trying to build a brand but isn't really a social person? And the person is just confused on what to do or how to go about it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I've gotten this question a lot. People that are introverts that don't really like the whole social media saga and all that. As much as I would say being social is important for your personal brand, but seeing things online actually debunk that notion that I have, because I know people that have brands online. I don't know their real names. I don't know what they look like. I don't know where they stay, but they have like a huge brand online, right? So as a tech newbie, I would advise writing. Writing is something that doesn't really need a lot of interaction. It doesn't really need like a lot of social engagement. So start out with writing and just see how it goes. Start out with writing about things that you're learning in tech. By writing, I mean blogging. Just pick a platform and just start writing about things that you're learning. Then try to be social as well. Like I said, I'm more introverted, but when it comes to things around my personal brand, I just have to be. I don't have a choice, right? So it's good for building a personal brand. So start out with writing. Let people know you for that. Then try to get comfortable branching out to other things that you can do. Yeah, because you can't remain in like your comfort zone for that long. So just start out with writing and see how it goes from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Chisom, for that lovely answer. Now I have another question for Nneka, and Nneka, this is from Morisola. So this is what she's saying. She said, "Hi Nneka, personally, I did my best to be retained at my PPA during my NYSC, but I wasn't. How do I build back my confidence and brand myself to put myself out there for the next employer?"
Okay, so I think this is more tied to personal branding. But however, I'll answer it. So for one, you need to build your resume and be sure that your resume is aligned with your skill set and also aligned with whatever job you're applying for. You also have to start working on your profile on LinkedIn because a lot of headhunters go there. And on LinkedIn, you have to be active. And in being active, you have to post articles, post anything, like people's pages, follow a lot of recruiters, like their pages, wish them happy birthday. I did all this at some point in my career. Um, like a lot of their articles, posts, just be active, be out there on LinkedIn. Then attend events, network, and just start building yourself again, your personal brand again. And then again, when you get invited for an interview, you also have to prepare appropriately for the interview. Ensure you've done your research on the organization. Ensure you can do the work. So during the interview, it will be, easy breezy for you. Just basically start building your brand. Start work on your resume. Go on LinkedIn. Start building your profile on LinkedIn, and follow a lot of HR people, recruiters. Don't limit yourself, and don't ever believe that you can't achieve anything you want. Chisholm's story really touched me, and so impressive. So you need to believe in yourself, believe in your ability, and just start. Just start the work. Start building your profile, start work on your CV, and start promoting yourself. You'll be surprised. Someone might headhunt you even before you get to the stage where you want to.
Nice. Thank you so much, Nneka, for answering that question. Chisom, would you like to throw more light to the question as well, since it involves personal branding?
Yeah, I think Nneka said like everything that's needed. LinkedIn is a place that has a lot of potential, but people, I feel like when I speak to people are it just boils down to being lazy about it, right? Like I mentioned, when I was posting things about the things that I was learning, I wasn't getting any engagement at all. And that's like one thing to discourage me from like not posting anymore. But it's something I didn't stop. I just kept on going until, like I said, that peak point was there. So it all boils down to consistency, consistently putting out content. In tech, I think the buzzword now is writing articles. If I'm an employer, and I see that you're a web developer and you're constantly writing articles about different tools, different frameworks, I see you as someone that's very knowledgeable, because before you write an article, you have to do your research. And it shows me that you're very intentional about either getting a job or just being known in that field. So yeah, it boils down to being consistent and branding yourself the way you should. Nneka mentioned resume. People don't really pay attention to how their resume looks like. When I'm a recruiter, when I'm looking at your resume, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking like at a document. So if that document is not telling me enough I need to know about why I should employ you or why I should move you over to the next stage of interviews, then you have failed in that resume process. So make sure every detail about you is clear and concise. Your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your cover letter, if you're going that far, and just make sure that everything is on point. People do these things in a hurry, like, oh, I need a job quickly. You just do things like haphazardly, right? So take your time and craft out these documents. Take your time and craft out a very nice online presence. And trust me, recruiters are going to be running in your DM, and it's going to be so much that you won't be able to handle it, right? So be consistent, take your time and do things. You're not in a hurry, nobody's rushing you, and you're definitely going to get positive feedback.
All right, thank you so much, Chisom. So we have another question for you, and this is from Goodness. Goodness is saying that she's studying agriculture, and she wants to know how she can build her career fully into tech when she's done schooling. So what can you advise her on?
Okay, I would advise being involved in active communities, being around people that have the same, not really the same situation as you, but just being in a community, right, that's very active. Might be online, might be physical. Also attending tech events as well, if you find any like in your locality. this helps to fuel up that passion of tech in you. Because if you're coming from the agriculture side of things and you're always around your classmates that are doing agriculture, when you're talking about tech, nobody even wants to hear you, right? It will be hard. So come over to a community where people are speaking the same language, where you can ask questions, where you can network, get people's phone numbers, get people's handles. That's the first step. Second step is you're going to do a lot of research. Before I started out in tech, I was doing web. I did not like web for anything. Web was frustrating, right? When I figured out there was something like Android development, I started doing my research. I started watching YouTube videos. It was hard, I won't lie, but it's a step. It's a very painful step that you just have to pass through before you get your hands you get comfortable with that, right? So join active communities, do your research as well, and ask questions. If you can't get into someone's DM, throw an open question online. If you're on Twitter, if you're on LinkedIn, let people come and contribute and answer those questions as well. But your circle is important. Make sure that you're always surrounded with people that are speaking the same language, so you're motivated to move forward in either transitioning or just learning a tech skill.
All right, thank you very much, Chisom, for that. I also have a personal question, and it's, how will I stand out amongst others in the tech industry?
I would say own your own voice. Yeah, be unique with whatever you're doing. You stand out with the things that you know. What differentiates you from someone else is the fact that you know something that other person doesn't. So if you're learning the regular things people are learning, let's say HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you're not moving away from that umbrella. You're not looking to see how you can use artificial intelligence. You're not looking to see how you can use other interesting stuff into your web development knowledge. Then you're just basic, right? So I would say you can stand out by learning things that are unique, always searching for skills that can differentiate you from other people, and owning your own voice as well. If you find a niche that you want to contribute to, try to niche it down a bit and find that unique voice that you might have, or that unique topic that you enjoy talking about. Definitely you're going to stand out, definitely. But in the process of standing out, don't try to copy someone else that is standing out in one other field and try to duplicate or replicate what the person is doing. No, when you own your voice, you're automatically standing out, because there can only be one you. So look for something that seems interesting that you can start talking about or giving value from.
All right, thank you so much, Chisom, for answering that question. I would love to ask Nneka a question, and it's from Dele. So Dele is asking, what are the benefits of employee branding to the individual and the organization?
Okay, so employee branding, on one hand, helps promote the employee in terms of attracting opportunities. For the employer, employee branding helps drive or open opportunities for the employer, in that it helps to attract talents, it helps attract customers, it helps attract even investors. For the employee, however, it helps create opportunities for this employee. And in an instance where the employee even changes jobs, the person already stands out, in that the person is now known, and everybody can see how consistent this person is, how loyal this person is, and how connected this person is to their employer. As such, some organizations see that as some part of their criteria for poaching the employee. And so it's a win-win situation for both parties. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Nneka, for that wonderful answer. But one more question. So Dele is still asking that how can this be transferred to a new employer? Can it be transferred to a new employer?
It can be transferred because what you've been promoting is your current employer. However, if you're changing jobs, you have to start afresh in promoting the new employer. However, the difference is that you're already known. Everybody has already aligned with you as a consistent individual that is loyal. So all you need to do is basically just change who you're promoting. So you can't just transfer like that, especially if it's a personal brand. A personal brand is a personal brand. It sticks there, for life or until you stop updating, or you stop being consistent. But the employee brand is kind of different. It's not transferable, but you just have a reputation. You've already made a reputation for yourself, as a loyal, committed, consistent employee. As such, you now have to start promoting the new employer.
All right, thank you so much, Neka, for answering that question brilliantly. However, we still have one more question for Chisom. So Chisom, someone is asking that what is needed to build a profitable personal brand?
Okay, I think I pointed that out in my presentation. First would be figuring out what you love doing and figuring out how you want people to perceive you as a person. Second would be finding a niche. That's one of the major points there. Finding a niche, finding like a space that you can be loud in, finding a voice in that space, and I mean consistency as well.
Thank you so much for also answering that question. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this wonderful workshop. Thank you, Neka, for the presentation and answering our questions. The same thanks goes to Chisom for the wonderful presentation and answering our questions. But before we would like to go, we would like to hear from our country manager from Ghana, Miss Diana York. She's going to give us the vote of thanks.
Hi, hello everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Effie. Hello everyone, and thank you very much, Effie, for the introduction. So the name once again is Diana Abayok, the country manager for QoreID Ghana. And gradually, our QoreID career clinic has come to a successful end. But before we leave, we would like to extend our gratitude to our wonderful speakers who made time of their schedule to be part of this workshop by impacting us with their knowledge and educating us. Indeed, I must say it has been very educative and insightful. And would like to say, Chisom, thank you very much for honoring our invitation and then being part of today's event. We are much grateful. And in Neka, we appreciate your thoughtfulness and the knowledge that you've impacted onto us this morning. FA would like to also thank you for such an outstanding performance of being the moderator and engaging us throughout the workshop. We appreciate it a lot. Secondly, we would like to extend our gratitude to our lovely audience for joining us today. We appreciate you making time to be part of this edition of the Core Career Clinic. So from QoreID, we say, as you embark on your journey on building your personal brand, we would like to leave you with these two key sayings from our speakers. So from Chisom, she mentioned, do not imitate anybody. Figure out who you are and be true to yourself, because your personal brand is more than a reflection of who you are today. So from our second speaker, she also mentioned that link your employee brand with your employer brand by focusing on your current employer and be consistent with it. So we want to say that at any point in time, if you feel you are drifting away from your personal branding goals, just tap into your knowledge base and hold on to these two keywords to keep you going. Thank you once again for being part of this year's QoreID Career Clinic. Finally, we would like to thank the organizers of this workshop. Indeed, it has been very educative and insightful. And we know that we are going to have series of events coming up like this. And so to our audience, once again, we don't want to lose touch with you. So we would like you to, if you have your phone, you can quickly do this. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at QoreID, as well as on LinkedIn and then Facebook at QoreID. We know it's going to be the beginning. This is going to be the beginning of a wonderful relationship with you, our audience here. And don't forget to follow us as well. Thank you all very much once again. And then over to you, Ife.
Thank you, Dana, for that wonderful vote of thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I hope we all enjoyed ourselves. I hope we had a wonderful time here. As promised, we are going to be sharing the email address where the first 50 persons are going to submit their CV for the reviews. It's going to come up on the screen. Yes, now it's on the screen. So as promised, this is the email address that we want the first 50 persons to send their CVs to for the free CV review. It's marketing@verifyme.ng. Thank you for having me. I was your moderator for today, and I do wish you a wonderful day ahead. Bye, everyone.